Thanks. Give it up for our my mentor, Mike, putting these shows together. Shows up faithfully every Monday night to listen to my bad material. Great to be here tonight in Tustin, or as the realtors call it, Irvine adjacent. Yes. Yeah, I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd tonight. My friends Bill and Jamie from Cincinnati just flew in for the show.
Yeah.
Bill's actually seen me before. No one that's ever seen me has ever seen me a second time. So I'm not sure what that's all about. So, did you guys see last year that the woman that wrote the first crockpot cookbook died? You can see that? It's true. She left instructions that when she died, she was to be cremated. It took 6 to 8 hours. I'm sure I could have done it in 4 if they just put it on high. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's great to be here tonight. Been feeling kind of old lately. I know none of you can relate to this, but you know, the hair used to come out of my head and my face. Now it's coming out of my nose and my ears. You know, it's like the hair follicles have Alzheimer's, and they're just wandering around in there, and finally they just decide to head for a light. Yeah. And you know, and I have to pee like every 10 minutes. It's a real bummer because as a comedian, I'll never make it as a headliner. Yeah. So I went to the doctor and said, "What can I do?" And he says, "You got to give up alcohol, coffee, and spicy food." And I'm like, "That's great." Because all I do is I go to coffee shops, bars, and I'm doing 5 minutes at Chipotle next week. Yeah, that stinks. So yeah, so getting old's kind of bad. So how many people here are not from Irvine? Okay, yeah, very good, good. So this is the audience participation part. Just throw out your impressions of Irvine, the city, the people, anything. Just, anybody have any idea? Any impressions? Nothing?
Stuck
You
up.
guys don't talk much outside of Irvine. Well, that's fine. I got a few ideas, fortunately. Irvine is the safest city in the country, right?
Yeah.
You know that. Have you ever driven around Irvine? You know why it's so safe? Every street takes at least 4 turns and ends in a cul-de-sac. It's true. The criminals know they can come in, but they may never get out. So they don't even bother. And the cops are tough, right? They treat all criminals the same in Irvine. Robbers, murderers, 12-year-olds without bike helmets, all the same. Doesn't matter. Yeah. We have 40% Asians in Irvine. Our high school football teams aren't very good, but our chess teams can beat anybody. I know, it's a stereotype. You know, we're very well, you know, controlled by the homeowners associations. They control everything. In fact, there's so many Chinese people in our neighborhood that the homeowners association said you can only have 1 child per family. Really strict. We have a big gang problem in Irvine. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. It's down at the Apple store on Saturdays. Everywhere. Jeez. And they're tough, too. I almost got shanked the other day trying to cut in line for an iPad 2. It's terrible. So, you guys like getting, you know, solicitations in the mail? You know, you ever heard of Omaha Steaks? Yeah. I got a special invitation from Omaha Steaks the other day, last year. Let me share this with you. This is a piece of marketing beauty. Dear friend, who is this guy? You must know me. Who is this? Fred Simon. Okay, Fred. I've been wondering why I haven't heard from you lately. Well, Fred, I haven't gotten any friend requests on Facebook. Says that they've been sending steaks to people like me since 1917. Yeah, where are those people today? Yeah, how good it did them. Now, I know you're probably aware of the difference between an Omaha steak and a regular steak. Let me think now. I'm going to go on a limb and say that's something to do with Omaha? I don't know, maybe. So he goes on to make this incredible offer. $170 worth of steak for the invitation-only price of $49.99. What a deal. So here's what I did. I called Fred. I said, Fred, I hear I can get this great deal of steaks for $49.99. But I have a problem. I don't have an invitation. Can I still place an order with you? What do you think Fred said? You're right. So, but just to sweeten the deal a little bit more, he's including an 8-piece steakhouse steak knife set with handsome wooden handles. I don't know about you, but that beats the heck out of the sporks I'm using at home now. Yeah, so. And finally he says, look, I'm holding this offer open for just 10 days, so you better take advantage of this now. And I'm like, okay, 10 days? From where? There's no date on here. 10 days from forever, yeah. Anyway, that's Omaha Steak. Thank you very much. So I was going to ask at this point in my act if there were anybody here on a date, but I know the whole front row. The second row, I kind of have my doubts about. The rest of you, I'm sure of. But anyway, I remember when I was single, I had a hell of a time getting dates. I mean, I could never choose between the unattractive girl and the unpopular girl. I spent a lot of lonely nights at home with my favorite sex book, 101 Celibate Positions. Yeah. You know the Jonas Brothers, they go around with this purity ring that shows they're not having sex? I had my own version of that years ago. I called it the purity look. One look at me, people knew I wasn't having any sex. So now I started dating my wife, and things were going along pretty well. So at one point she mentioned that she was hoping someday she'd get De Beers. So being a nice guy, eventually I proposed to her. I gave her De Beers, a whole 6-pack. Did you see that one coming? It's kind of obvious. They were imported too. So now we're married. Been married 25 years. How many people here have been married more than 10, 15 years? Anybody? Yeah. I'm sure I speak for most of us that after a while the sex just sort of loses its spiciness, So, but I was really surprised the other day. My wife actually suggested that we ought to try a foursome. I'm like, well, I'm not sure how that'll help, but I'll go get my golf clubs anyway. But I thought of a better deal. I said, honey, if I do all the chores around the house, can I have anything I want in the bedroom? She said, sure. And that's working out great. So far, I got an Xbox, a Wii, and a big screen TV. I'm happy. Yeah, so. Anyway, let's talk about technology. Technology's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Or is it? Yep. Have you been in an elevator in a 2-story building lately? How many buttons are on that elevator? Open, close, 1, 2, emergency. If that elevator doesn't know where to go, I don't want to get on it. You need one button, right? Go. And people freak out on elevators, like, oh my God, if it gets stuck, I'm going to fall, I'm going to die. It's a 2-story building. If you're stuck in the middle, you're about 5 feet off the floor. It should be an inconvenience button, if anything. I got stuck on one once. I panicked, I admit, but it wasn't because I was afraid. I had to go to the bathroom real bad. Well, I'll tell you one place that there's a lot of technology. I don't know if you saw this in the paper recently. California prisons. Did anybody see that? Our prisons, the inmates, have thousands of cell phones. This is a true story. And so they can just continue on their criminal enterprises from prison. So what did the government do, of course, in their infinite wisdom? They pass a law. You get caught with a cell phone in prison, what do you get? More prison time! Wait a minute, how does that help? What they ought to do is they ought to let those guys out and make them sign a 5-year contract with AT&T. That's what they ought to do. My name's Steve Guentner. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, guys.